Howdy, Stoveminders. It is December the 8th, 2020. Good morning, Tuesday morning. And I am happy to report that the temperature of the stove is rising. It's warm now. Almost hot. The virtual winter meetings are off to a great start, with the Chicago White Sox going wild, adding a starter via trade and a familiar face off the free agent market since yesterday. The White Sox are one of baseball's rising teams. Tons of talent in that clubhouse with the likes of AL MVP Jose Abreu, Tim Anderson, Lucas Giolito, Yasmani Grandal, and young players, budding stars like Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, Nick Madrigal, and the unbusted Yoan Moncada. But while the Who's finished 35-25 last season en route to a wild card round elimination to the October choke artist Oakland Athletics, there's still work to be done on the south side of Chicago. They want a championship. Well, general manager Rick Hahn was busy last winter in that regard, signing one of the best hitting catchers in baseball and the best catcher on the market that year, Yasmani Grandal, and a veteran lefty with postseason experience for the rotation, talking about Dallas Keuchel. Then came a managerial debacle over the past couple months. So those signings came pre-2020, now post-2020. AL Manager of the Year candidate Rick Renteria was fired. And after seemingly reaching the finish line with A.J. Hinch as their new skipper, talking about the disgraced former Astros manager who found great success building young talent in Houston, a situation quite similar to what the White Sox got going on now. After almost hiring Hinch, enter owner Jerry Reinsdorf, one of those owners who likes to take an active role in the composition of his club. Back in 1986, Reinsdorf fired their manager at the time, Tony La Russa, mid-season after the team got off to a bad start. La Russa went on to win 3 World Series rings and get into Cooperstown, while Reinsdorf publicly bemoaned the firing as one of the worst decisions he ever made. Well, 2020 is a year of opportunity, and the Sox decided to bring back La Russa to the team where his managerial career started. He could be one of the greatest managers of all time, but he's 76 years old, a public alcoholic with a couple DUIs to his name, including one this year, and an old-school skipper who hasn't managed a team since 2011. Granted, he's been in the game since, but whether this is the right fit is a good question, a big question to ask. As I said, it's a young White Sox roster, lots of personality. Not to mention the game has changed over the past 9 years, just in terms of technology and the role analytics nerds are expected to have, never mind the culture and the rule changes and now COVID protocols. It's hard for me to doubt La Russa after watching him lead that Cardinals team to 2 championships in 6 seasons. He has the resume, but if this was a case of owner trumps front office regarding a clubhouse hire, La Russa over Hinch, and if the Who's fail to meet expectations, and if La Russa doesn't mesh with his new team, it's going to get really, really awkward. And the potential for acrimony goes beyond Alabama Tim Anderson bat flips, because the White Sox have signed outfielder Adam Eaton to a 1-year contract with a club option for 2022. Eaton will make $7 million this upcoming season. He played for the White Sox before, from 2014 to 2016. 3 campaigns where he did very well, but that was a time of trouble in Chicago. The Chris Sale jersey cutting incident, the Tatis Shields trade, and Adam LaRoche retiring because they didn't want his son running around the clubhouse. Well, Eaton spoke out publicly against the way that LaRoche situation was handled after leaving the Sox. And after the signing was announced this morning, his former manager in Chicago, Ozzie Guillen, took to MLB Network, where he told the camera that nobody liked Eaton during his time in Chicago. When you get that kind of a reference from a gentleman with the personality of Ozzie Guillen, makes me ask some questions. Also, I read that Eaton called into local radio today and then hung up when asked about Russa. So this might not go well. But what does Eaton offer as a player? Why have the White Sox brought him back? Well, he's a soon-to-be 33-year-old, but he's a left-handed hitter. And if you look at the White Sox lineup, all those guys I mentioned, your Abreu's, your Jimenez's, your Andersons, these are all right-handed hitters with a couple of switches, Grandal and Moncada, I believe. So to have a left-hander who could be in there on an almost regular basis like Eaton, quite valuable. He can play across the outfield, although right field is the only spot where he has positive defensive metrics. Well, good news for them because you got Luis Robert in center, Eloy Jimenez in left. Perfect fit. As a batter, Eaton is pretty consistent, apart from 2020, which was a bad season for him. Bad year for a lot of guys. In a 9-year lifetime slash of 282, 360, 416 with a 111 OPS plus, and his OPS has been above league average almost every season. Eaton has good legs with double-digit stolen bases and a 20-plus doubles in multiple campaigns, but he's not a power hitter. Ceiling of about 15 home runs, not a huge deal for the Sox. Again, they got some sluggers in that lineup. There's also the leg injuries that plagued Eaton in 2017-18, though he's been healthy since. White Sox moved on from Nomar Mazara, who was non-tendered, but they do still have Adam Engel, who broke out in 2020, but before that hit poorly over his first 3 seasons, so I don't think there's going to be too much competition between Engel and Eaton, although I did read that might end up being a split depending what kind of pitcher they're facing. As for postseason experience, Eaton played in 17 games, 11 runs, 10 RBIs, but 15 for 61s, a 246 batting average, 771 OPS. Financially, this deal hasn't been added to Spot Track yet, but if I threw in the $7 million, should move the White Sox up to about $109 million payroll, which is a bit above MLB average, so not too bad. And for the Washington Nationals, who declined their option on Eaton after last season's showing, they originally traded for Adam by sending the White Sox Lucas Giolito, who's looking like an ace on the rise, not to mention Reynaldo Lopez, who's now part of the Sox pitching staff, and Dane Dunning, another young pitcher who's now been traded again. But before I get to that, I just want to say that the Nationals outfield has an opening in right field with Eaton gone and Michael A. Taylor now with the Royals. So look for them to fill that hole in right, maybe with one of the many outfielders recently non-tendered, since the Nationals don't have a lot of space in the budget. Now, on to the trade. The Chicago White Sox receive left-handed starting pitcher Lance Lynn in exchange for 2 younger pitchers, right-hander Dane Dunning and minor leaguer left-hander Avery Weems. So Lynn, it's been mentioned in trade rumors a lot over the past couple seasons, pitching very well on a not-so-good team in Texas. Comes in with 1 year and $8 million left on his contract. What the White Sox get is a big-body workhorse, 6'5", 250, with 3 200-plus inning seasons under his belt, including most recently in 2019. Not to mention his MLB-leading 84 innings pitched in 2020. All good and dandy, considering he's turning 34 next spring. He's still got it. Well, what about his performance? Well, I'd argue Lynn is not over the hill, as some may say. He was a solid mid-rotation piece for the Cardinals for 6 seasons. Then he missed all of 2016 due to injury. Took a couple years to get back on the horse, and over the past 2 seasons with Texas, so since the start of 2019, he's thrown close to 300 innings, struck out 335 batters, posted an ERA of 3.57, which is 40 points above average, or I guess technically below average, but an ERA plus of 140, a 3.43 FIP, a whip of 1.173, and a 4-to-1 strikeout-to-walk ratio, more or less. Compare those numbers to Lynn's career averages, and he's plussing pretty well every department. Yes, there is a danger with aging pitchers, But there's a reason this guy has received mid-ballot Cy Young consideration in back-to-back years quite recently. For a number 3 starter getting paid $8 million, that's very good. And I say third starter because Giolito is that guy. And I would rate, as would most, I believe, Dallas Keuchel, who is another lefty, another guy with a beard, who, by the way, had a very good 2020, in case you missed it. I would put Keuchel above Lynn. Very good starting 3. But who else they got down the rotation for the White Sox? Dylan Cease. And maybe Reynaldo Lopez, although he hasn't done well as a starter. There's talk of moving Lopez to the bullpen. They also have lefty Garrett Crochet, or Crochet. Another well-regarded prospect, number 4 in their system pre-2020. Looking to get into the rotation. He pitched a little bit out of the pen last season. Not to mention right-hander Michael Kopech. Kopech? Who the fuck knows? Maybe coming back at some point. He's perennially injured. With so many young potential starters, it does make sense for the Sox to get a short-term veteran as a bridge, but they did give something up to get him. So, the Texas Rangers recently hired a new general manager and ex-starting pitcher Chris Young. And he might have looked around and said, why are we dilly-dallying instead of going full rebuild? So, last season, pre-Young, they traded Mike Minor. And with Joey Gallo still in purgatory, Chris Young has at least pulled the trigger on a long-rumored Lance Lynn trade. With 1 year left on the deal, makes sense. What do the Rangers receive? 2 young arms, one of which is MLB ready and has a ton of potential. I'm talking about the righty Dane Dunning. Made his debut last season after recovering from Tommy John, and he looked great. 7 starts, ERA FIP just below 4, strikeouts and walks about what you'd expect, 3-to-1 ratio there. Dunning will turn 26 soon, and he's controllable through 2026, although I hope he's also comfortable. He's a former top 100 prospect. Tons of time to develop in Arlington. Fair trade for Lynn, though with just a year under contract. Lynn will have to make a difference for Chicago in case Dunning turns out to be another Tatis and kills it down in Texas. Does seem to be a quality pitcher, so Rangers fans, you can be excited. And also going to Dallas is lefty Avery Weems, a 23-year-old out of Arizona. Weems went through college before the White Sox drafted him in the 6th round. Did very well in rookie ball, but it's rookie ball. So one of many prospects who didn't play games in 2020. Weems was not on Chicago's top 30 prospects list pre-season, so more of a filler piece, but all good for Texas considering their farm system was ranked 21st in MLB's pre-2020 ranking. And breaking news, this happened in the last hour, the Kansas City Royals, remember they got Mike Minor, they got Michael A. Taylor, and they said, hey, Carlos Santana, I like your chain. Get over here. 2-year deal, $17.5 million guaranteed, plus $1 million in incentives. He will earn $7 million next year and $10.5 million in the second year. That's big. Are these Royals getting competitive? Are they getting serious? This is funny because I'm reading here on Trade Rumors, Santana, longtime Cleveland Indian, has more career home runs and RBIs against the Royals than any other opponent in his 11-year career. He had a bad season last year, as a lot of guys did, but other than that, he's a career 248 hitter, 366 on base. He walks like a motherfucker. He's led the majors in walks before. He's had 100 walks plus in 4 different seasons. 446 career slugging, a 12 career OPS, won 20 OPS plus, and he's posted an above average OPS in every year except 2020. He's got power as well. He's good for 20 home runs at least. He's hit a high of 34. He also has hit a lot of doubles, as you can say. You got to love those dubs. I'm a big doubles fan. 20 plus, 30 plus some years. This is a guy with 30-30 potential who, while his batting average not super exciting, he hit 281 in 2019, which was arguably his best season, and to be only 2 years removed from that is pretty exciting, especially for a guy who will turn 35 next spring. He is a veteran, but he it continues to hit well, and he might, average out like the 240 to 260 range, but whatever. You got the home runs, you got the on base, that's all you need. And I guess as a fielder, he does have positive defensive metrics at first base. That's That's kind of all you want. Yeah, that's exciting. Those Royals. Is this a turn? I think it is. I think this is the winter where the Royals are getting serious. They may have to move Hunter Dozier, who was their first baseman for most of last season. And I mean, there's still a lot of work to be done. They have since parted ways with Maikel Franco, but they got Jorge Soler. They still have Whit Merrifield. They got Adalberto Mondesi. What else can they get out of some of their young guys? I know that's a very youth-heavy team, especially in the pitching department. So to get an established bat like Carlos Santana, I like it. I like it a lot. Reading here, Hunter Dozier probably going to third base. Could go to the outfield as well. Yeah, wow, I just broke that on myself. Didn't even go off script. I was gonna do a rumor roundup. That's what I was getting ready to do, and then that happened. So, last episode I mentioned Tomoyuki Sugano, 31-year-old right-hander from the Yomiuri Giants of the Nippon Professional Baseball, who was posted Tuesday morning. He was excellent in Japan, and he's already receiving interest from 4 teams: Padres, Yankees, Red Sox, and the Giants. San Francisco Giants. They've been in on a lot of guys. Could they be getting a little more aggressive in 2020 as well? Sugano, 2-time Sawamura Award winner. That's given to the league's top pitcher. Nothing on Trevor Bauer. Jock Peterson. Where will the new Hebrew Hammer go? He's drawing interest from the Cardinals, the Brewers, and he was drawing interest from the White Sox, although with the signing of Adam Eaton, I doubt that they would still be in on Home Run Jock. Yes, not a rumor, but this is huge. MLB has informed teams to plan for no universal DH in 2021. We will not have the designated hitter in the National League in 2021. I'm cool with it. Leave this for the CBA negotiations. I mean, universal DH, it's fine as much as I like. I've said this before. I like the National League game. I like pitchers hitting, but most pitchers they don't care about hitting, so it does kind of suck. And the universal DH does provide more job opportunities for more players, so I think that's something that MLBPA might be pushing for. And minor move to report here. Right-handed pitcher Matt Wisler going to the Giants. 1 year, $1.15 million. Whistler posted some good numbers out of the Twins' pen last season, although he did strand an abnormal amount of base runners, had an unusually low home run to fly ball rate with a high walk rate. Basically, his underlying numbers not that great, so I didn't want to spend too much time on that, but just to show that the Giants are getting a little more aggressive this winter. So yeah, I'll wrap it up there. Yeah, man, Stove's heating up. It's heating up big time. Good shit.